Jirou is a ugly, pathetic, lonely otaku who's been picked on his entire life. Because of the bullying, he's earned the nickname Virgin Kun from hottest girl in the school, Akari. He can't stand her, mainly because she always acts like a bitch and make him feel like a loser. Akari's the type who would never miss a chance to make him feel bad. She ignores him like a cockroach, and he got fellow otaku friend Ginger Face. They go to class one day, and Jirou's crush, Shiori, is super excited about a new class project the teacher explains. The project is a marriage simulation, where each student is randomly paired with someone and must make babies. Pretend to be the best spouse to get the highest score. Jirou thinks it could be fun and pray to God for his and Shiori match, but of course, God don't give a fuck about his ugly ass. Instead of getting paired with Shiori, he ends up with Akari. Naturally, Akari isn't thrilled about it either. She has a major crush on a guy named Tenjin, and she's totally focused on him. She starts acting all nice and sweet around him, while completely ignoring Jirou. She couldn't care less about his feelings. Jirou, frustrated, admits that he's not happy with this pairing either because he had someone else in mind. Akari guesses that it's Shiori and tells him that he's really easy to read. She laughs it off, telling him there's no way she would want to be with a virgin like him. So Jirou decides to roast him and tell her that even Tenjin doesn't want a slut. The two start arguing, and their ranking starts to drop. Jirou's feeling even worse now, especially because Akari is treating him like he's invisible. Then, Akari snaps at him and demands that they start getting along so they can improve their ranking. She explains that if they get to an A rank, they can switch partners after a month. Jirou had no idea about this rule, but when Akari tells him this, he realizes that to get that high of a score, they'd need to fake being the perfect couple. This idea makes Jirou feel embarrassed and a bit uncomfortable, but Akari insists that it's the only way. She whispers in his ear, saying she'll be the perfect wife for him and that she's counting on him. After that, their ranking improves, but Jirou, being the virgin he is, decides to walk away, thinking he can't handle it. As he leaves, Akari is left behind, sitting sadly. She doesn't want anyone else to take Tenjin away from her, and she's determined to try her hardest to get through this. Jirou, meanwhile, sees Shiori talking happily with Tenjin and feels even more miserable. He walks home alone, feeling like a statue. He can't help but tell Akari how sad he is, but Akari notices how miserable he looks and decides to comfort him. She gently holds his face, telling him that being sad and moody won't get him anywhere. As she's doing this, Jirou's friend rings the doorbell, and Jirou is about to leave, but Akari stops him. She tells him they need to improve their points, and she teases him by saying he should give her a goodbye kiss. Jirou, confused, thinks she's talking about the food they were supposed to pretend to be married to, but after some trash talk, he realizes that she's talking about a real kiss. He hesitates, but kisses her lips, all flustered as he walks away. Akari is flustered by this as he asks him to kiss on her cheek on her lips. After some time, he dreams of Shiori kissing him, but when he wakes up, Akari is there, asking him what he meant by kiss me. He doesn't remember how he ended up asleep, but he clearly remembers how nice the kiss with Akari felt. Later, Jirou gets called to the teacher's office with Akari. As he heads out, he sees Shiori hugging Tenjin, and his jealousy starts to build. He pretends to be upset in class, hoping Shiori will notice him, but she doesn't say a word. He can't help but imagine Shiori with Tenjin and starts crying. After school, it's raining, and Jirou realizes he forgot his umbrella. While he waits for the rain to stop, his classmates talk about their games. Akari walks in, interrupting him to tell him she'll be late because she's meeting her friends, including Tenjin. Jirou, feeling even worse, complains about how miserable his day has been. One of his friends tries to cheer him up by teasing him, saying he's got a busty partner who lives with him unlike himself. Meanwhile, the teacher tells Jirou that his ranking hasn't moved up or down for 2 weeks, and he's still at the lowest rank. While Akari is out at karaoke with Tenjin, Jirou is still stuck waiting for the rain to stop, thinking about how much more fun Akari is having with her crush. Just when he's feeling down, Shiori shows up, having also forgotten her umbrella. She asks to sit next to him, and without realizing it, she hugs his arm for warmth. Jirou, shocked, thinks about how she only hugged Tenjin earlier because she was probably scared of a bug too. Shiori then asks Jirou to call her by her first name like he used to. Jirou nervously tries, but before he can finish, Tenjin arrives, ready to walk Shiori home. Akari, still annoyed, walks home with Jirou under the same umbrella. She complains about how she would rather be walking with Tenjin. Jirou apologizes, and then she asks if he really plans on going after his crush. She pinches his cheek and tells him he shouldn't give up. They get to Jirou's house, and Akari makes him some omelet rice. She teaches him how to pour the ketchup slowly, and Jirou is surprised at how delicious it tastes. He tries to feed her, but she laughs and says there's no way that's happening. Jirou gets embarrassed and promises not to try again, but she ends up eating it herself. Later, Jirou is outside with his phone, feeling confused and flustered. His heart is racing, and he's not sure what's going on. He's thinking about how close he got to Akari. One lucky evening, Shiori shows up, standing outside in the rain. She asks if she can stay with him, and Jirou says her name softly as he leans in to kiss her. But just before anything happens, Akari's voice interrupts, and she comes in, asking Jirou to hurry up. She then hugs him, saying she wants him to stay with her for the night. Suddenly, Akari spots something strange, an insect-looking creature that freaks her out. Jirou turns off the TV, telling her it's just a silly thing, but Akari insists they have to keep acting like the best couple so they can reach the highest rank. She then surprises him by pulling out matching pajamas she bought for them to wear, saying they'll get extra points for it. Jirou is totally confused about why she's acting so over the top, especially since she went out for karaoke with Tenjin. He wonders if something happened between them, but he pretends like he doesn't care. Akari tells him to turn around so she can change, and Jirou decides to be brave and change in front of her, thinking she's not hesitating, so why should he? Suddenly, there's a lightning strike, and the electricity cuts out. Jirou can't see anything, and before he knows it, Akari has jumped on top of him, making Jirou plot hard as stone. He realizes their ranking is going up as they're in close proximity, and he also notices how scared Akari really is. He grabs his phone, turning the light on, and sees her crying in the dark. She's upset that he saw her like that, and Jirou tries to open the door, but it won't budge because it uses a fingerprint scanner to keep people's privacy. Jirou feels awkward, thinking Akari must not care much about him. Still, he doesn't mind being there for her. She's pressed against him and asks him to tell her something fun, so Jirou starts telling a fairy tale. But as he goes on, he accidentally scares her with an old legend about a ghost at a well. Akari starts panicking, and he realizes he's made her scared. He apologizes, and she tells him Tenjin would never have done that. Then, Akari holds his hand and says she just wants to depend on him for a little while. Jirou feels like she's cute but stops himself, realizing how close they've gotten. Akari finds a flameless candle she got from a friend and lights it, and the two of them sit there together. Jirou wonders if he's said too much, but luckily, Akari falls asleep. As he watches her, he quietly admits to himself that she's cute, even when she's asleep. He whispers goodnight to her, and though she's asleep, Akari wonders what he meant by everything he said. The grades for the first 2 weeks are finally posted, and everyone except Jirou and Akari seems to be doing great. When Akari checks the rankings, she sees they're still stuck at E rank, the lowest. Jirou feels bad not just for himself but also for Shiori, his crush, knowing she hasn't been doing well with Tenjin either. No matter how hard Jirou and Akari try to work together, it feels pointless because if Shiori and Tenjin don't make it to a rank, nothing will change for anyone. While Jirou is homesick, he keeps thinking about how Akari left him to hang out with her friends. He wonders if Shiori would have been kinder and stayed to take care of him instead. He wishes Akari would have at least pretended to care, even if it was just part of their fake marriage. Just then, the doorbell rings. Jirou's heart races, hoping it's Akari. But when he opens the door, he's surprised to see Shiori standing there instead. Meanwhile, Akari is with her friends, but she looks distracted and tired. Her friends tease her, saying she must have been thinking about Tenjin all day. They even joke about how pancakes should feel like a real kiss. This comment suddenly makes Akari think of the kiss she shared with Jirou, and it flusters her. She insists her friends are wrong, but they can't help but wonder why she seems so bothered. Akari herself doesn't understand why Jirou keeps popping into her mind, and it frustrates her even more. At Jirou's house, Shiori reveals that Akari was the one who asked her to check on him. Jirou is surprised and touched that Akari cared enough to send help. Shiori even brought him a thoughtful gift, reminding him of the time when they were younger, and he took care of her when she was sick. She heads to the kitchen, puts on an apron, and starts cooking for him. Jirou feels nervous, remembering how in middle school he wanted to confess to Shiori before she transferred schools. But instead of confessing, he chickened out when she asked if they'd always be friends, and he agreed to stay in the friend zone. That memory still stings. After finishing her meal, Shiori sits with Jirou and watches as he eats. She's happy he has an appetite despite being sick. Jirou regrets not asking her to feed him, feeling like he missed an opportunity to get closer to her. As they chat, Shiori tells him she and Tenjin take turns cooking, which makes Jirou feel slightly better. He mentions that Akari does all the cooking for him and surprises Shiori by saying how good Akari is at it. Shiori asks how things are going between him and Akari, But instead of answering, Jirou shifts the focus to her partnership with Tenjin. He pretends to encourage her but secretly wishes she were his partner instead. Shiori thanks Jirou for being supportive, joking that things might have been easier if he were her husband. Jirou blushes and instinctively grabs her hand, telling her she's doing great and to keep being confident. Realizing how awkward he just made things, he panics and hides under the bed. That night, Shiori whispers to herself that she was happy when Jirou called her by her first name earlier. Elsewhere, Akari's friends gossip about Shiori, calling her sweet and innocent. They suggest that if Shiori starts making a move, Tenjin might fall for her. They ask Akari what she thinks, but she's too lost in her thoughts to respond. Deep down, Akari's mind is stuck on Jirou and the strange feelings she can't shake. Back at Jirou's, Shiori almost leans in to kiss him but stops herself, remembering they're not married. She thinks back to the time she asked him to always stay her friend and regrets not saying more. She wishes she could try again, especially now that they're spending more time together. Later, Jirou tells Akari he's ready to be the best husband for her, even if it's just pretend. He promises to do whatever it takes to help her end up with Tenjin. Akari says that's great, but for some reason, his words upset her. She doesn't understand why she feels so conflicted. She asks Jirou if guys like girls who are sweet and pure like Shiori. Jirou shrugs it off, saying it doesn't matter since she's into Tenjin. Akari pushes him for an answer, leaning over the table, and Jirou finally tells her that a home-cooked lunch made with love would make any guy happy, especially from someone like her. Akari decides to use this idea and ropes Jirou into helping her practice making a lunchbox. While they cook, Jirou notices how much effort Akari puts into it, and he's impressed by the result. She makes him try it, but when he says it's great but could be sweeter, she snaps back, saying Tenjin prefers more mature flavors. They bicker, but she still packs him a lunch to test his feedback. Later, Jirou's friend teases him, saying his life feels like a romance manga with all these beautiful girls around him. Akari overhears and asks Jirou how her lunch tasted. When he repeats his comment about it not being sweet enough, she gets annoyed, and they argue again while his friend tries to ignore them. That night, Jirou sees Akari preparing a special lunch for Tenjin. She's dressed up more than usual, which catches him off guard. Before leaving, Akari surprises Jirou by asking for another goodbye kiss like before. Jirou, confused, wonders why she wants his kiss when she's about to see Tenjin. Akari admits it's Jirou's kiss that made her feel safe last time. Just as Jirou leans in, the doorbell rings. It's Shiori, holding a box of apple pies she made for Tenjin. She mentions how he likes sweet things, which makes Akari feel insecure. Akari stares at the pies sadly, questioning what else she could offer Tenjin. Jirou notices her mood and tries to cheer her up, telling her she's amazing and every guy thinks so. But his words come out awkwardly, and Akari presses him, asking if he sees her that way too. Jirou denies it, but Akari doesn't believe him. She pins him down, teasing him about his true feelings and asking if he's ever imagined being with her. Jirou tries to brush it off, but Akari keeps pushing, saying he can go ahead and make a move if he wants. Jirou, seeing her trembling, realizes she's unsure and uncomfortable. He gently stops her, telling her they shouldn't do anything like that because it's something only real couples should do. Akari brushes him off, telling him to stop acting like their fake marriage is anything serious, and storms out. Jirou is left shocked. At school, the ranking system that shows how close partners are starts ticking down. The numbers drop slowly, from 5 to 4, then down to 2. Tenjin and Shiori rank at the top, but Jirou finds himself stuck at the very bottom. Shiori feels crushed seeing her crush, Jirou, so far below. She wishes she could be partnered with him, but switching isn't an option. Her sadness is obvious. In the bathroom, Jirou is taking a moment alone when his friend Nerd, a big-time otaku, walks in. Nerd notices Jirou's low ranking and asks him why he's struggling. Jirou brushes it off, saying it's nothing. But deep down, he's rethinking everything, wondering what he could have done differently. His mind flashes back to his earlier interaction with Shiori. At first, he thought she was teasing him, but when he held her hand, he noticed she was shaking. That's when it hit him, she was nervous. This whole situation was just as new and overwhelming for her as it was for him. Realizing that made him feel awful, like a total jerk. Later, Shiori finds Jirou and asks if they can talk. She leans on the rails and asks about his situation with Akari. Jirou admits that they had an argument. He confesses that he said something hurtful and regrets it but hasn't been able to apologize. Akari seems too upset to listen. Shiori tries to encourage him, saying that since he spends so much time with Akari, she'll forgive him if he just talks to her. She adds that she knows him better than anyone else because they've been childhood friends. When Jirou gets home, he notices dinner is already prepared. but his focus is elsewhere. The ranking has hit 0, and Akari is in her room. After hesitating for a while, Jirou gathers his courage, walks to her door, and knocks. When she opens the door and lets him in, the atmosphere feels tense. Akari lies on her bed, avoiding eye contact, and Jirou notices the faint scent of her room. He awkwardly starts to apologize, but Akari stops him, saying it's no big deal. She even apologizes herself, admitting that she was trying too hard and suggesting they both just forget about it. But Jirou refuses to drop it. He explains that she misunderstood, he did want to go through with it. In fact, he had even imagined being closer to her before. He tells her how much he appreciates her for sharing that moment with him. Akari, flustered, cuts him off, saying he's being weird and calling him out for making her uncomfortable. She teases him, saying no wonder he's still a virgin. Jirou laughs awkwardly and admits she's right but insists that he stopped earlier because he wanted to respect her. He didn't want to rush things in a way that might leave either of them with regrets. He goes on to say he hates the awkwardness between them now. He just wants things to go back to normal, sharing meals, talking, and enjoying time together. He asks her for another chance, and almost without realizing it, he removes the towel from her head. He blurts out that he wants to be a married couple with her again, but quickly realizes he might have gone too far. Akari, however, bursts into laughter, teasing him for sounding desperate. Jirou reminds her that she's the one who suggested they stop pretending to be married in the first place. Akari shrugs and says it doesn't matter, they have to stay together anyway if they want to graduate. Jirou feels conflicted but is stunned when Akari gently grabs his hand, places it on her cheek, and admits she likes him more than she thought she would. As they lean closer, she stops him at the last second and simply says, "Welcome home." Akari steps out onto the porch afterward, her face flushed as she processes what just happened. She realizes she just confessed her feelings, and it leaves her feeling embarrassed and a little giddy. At the gym the next day, Nerd notices Jirou watching Akari. Teasing him, Nerd shows off his basketball skills, clearly enjoying the attention. Jirou can't help but feel worse as both Akari and Shiori seem impressed by Nerd's flashy moves. Nerd casually brings up a rumor about Shiori, but Jirou doesn't know what he means. Meanwhile, Akari's friends gossip about how Nerd refuses to switch partners, no matter what his ranking is. Feeling defeated, Jirou sits alone. Nerd tries to cheer him up but jokes that Shiori would be better off marrying someone more attractive than Jirou. Hurt by the comment, Jirou starts tearing up and asks whose side Nerd is really on. Nerd laughs and says he's always on Shiori's side because he's an ally to all women. Lost in thought, Jirou imagines Nerd as a medieval hero, fighting off enemies and smashing statues with overwhelming power. In this daydream, Nerd becomes the center of attention, while Jirou feels invisible in the background. Noticing Jirou's gloomy expression, Shiori approaches him. She asks if he fought with Akari again. Jirou denies it, and Shiori tells him that's good because Akari is a sweet person and doesn't deserve extra stress. Jirou wonders what Shiori would say if he revealed the real reason he's upset. Gathering his thoughts, he asks her if she plans to stay by Tenjin's side forever. Meanwhile, Akari heads to the gym's equipment room alone to return some items. She's startled to find Tenjin there. A box suddenly wobbles and nearly falls on her, but Tenjin reacts quickly and stops it just in time. Their closeness makes Akari's heart race. She thanks him for helping her but feels overwhelmed by the moment. When Tenjin asks if she's okay, she brushes it off, saying there's just dust in her eyes. He gently lifts her chin and tells her to look at him. Just then, Nerd stumbles upon the open equipment room and catches Tenjin and Akari in a seemingly intimate moment. At the same time, Shiori starts to say something important to Jirou but stops herself and walks away. Jirou, determined, calls out to her, vowing to reach the top ranking no matter what. Back at the gym, Tenjin hands Nerd the keys to lock up. Even Nerd finds himself impressed by Tenjin's cool demeanor. Shiori leaves with Tenjin, and Nerd tries to sneak away quietly but notices Jirou silently watching Akari. Jirou approaches her, but Akari brushes him off, saying she'll be late for her next class. The next day, Jirou sits down to relax and play his favorite game, but Nerd's sudden interruption distracts him. Jirou accidentally leaves his in-game girlfriend behind, which only adds to his frustration. Nerd, in his usual nosy way, starts talking about Tenjin again. Jirou has had enough. Annoyed, he tells Nerd to just get to the point already. Nerd hesitates, debating whether he should say anything. He mentions how Tenjin is one of the few people who even remembers his name, which makes it hard to speak badly about him. Finally, he decides to spill the truth. Akari and Tenjin kissed. Jirou freezes, completely stunned. His mind races, but he keeps a poker face. It doesn't matter, he says coolly. He pretends not to care, brushing it off as if it has nothing to do with him. Akari likes Tenjin, and I like Shiori, he adds. But Nerd doesn't buy it and watches Jirou carefully, worried about how he's really feeling. As soon as Nerd leaves, Jirou's thoughts spiral. He forces himself to be happy for Akari, even if it hurts. In his mind, he congratulates her. She deserves to be happy, even if it's not with him. The weight of everything, even his in-game girlfriend abandoning him, leaves him feeling emptier than ever. Later, Jirou heads home with groceries. When he walks into the house, he sees Akari lying on the couch. He asks if she's sick, mentioning he heard she has a cold, but she doesn't respond. Worried, he kneels beside her and asks if she has a fever, but she keeps ignoring him. Finally, he sits down and apologizes softly. I know I'm not Tenjin, he says, his voice tinged with sadness. Akari suddenly sits up, her tone sharp and sarcastic. Why are you even bringing up Tenjin? She snaps. Jirou, flustered, stammers that he heard something happened between her and Tenjin and wanted to say he's happy for her. She looks at him, confused. Happy for me? Why? She asks, genuinely puzzled. Trying to stay composed, Jirou tells her he figured she'd be thrilled to be close to Tenjin. Akari's eyes widen, and then, out of nowhere, she bursts into laughter. She laughs so hard it startles Jirou. Through her giggles, she manages to explain. Tenjin wasn't kissing her, he was checking if there was dust in her eye. She finds the misunderstanding hilarious and compares it to a cheesy romance manga. Her laughter fades, and her tone turns serious. Honestly, I'm upset, she admits. Not because of Tenjin, but because you won't even try to switch partners with me. Jirou feels a pang of guilt but tries to defend himself, saying he assumed the rumor was true because she's been working so hard. Akari's eyes well up with tears, and Jirou instinctively moves closer, placing his hands gently on her shoulders. Why are you looking at me like that? She mutters, her voice shaky. Embarrassed, she tells him to stop looking, but Jirou doesn't move. Instead, he pulls her into a hug. I'm not looking, he whispers. I can't see anything. Akari finally breaks down, crying softly into his chest as he holds her tightly. That night, Jirou tries to shake off the day's events by taking a long shower. But even then, he can't stop thinking about Akari. When he comes out, he's surprised to see her wearing one of his shirts. She apologizes, saying she borrowed it because she didn't have any clean clothes. Jirou freezes, feeling his heart race at the sight of her. Akari, completely oblivious to his reaction, grabs a vanilla banana snack and casually bites into it. She notices him staring and smirks. Is your heart pounding? She teases. Jirou tries to play it cool, saying he's used to her antics. But she leans in close, resting her head on his chest. Liar, she says softly. I can hear your heartbeat. Jirou's composure starts to crack as Akari continues to tease him. She jokes that maybe he should save all this flustered energy for Tenjin. Jirou, annoyed, blurts out that she should stop dressing like this and acting so casual around him. Akari smirks, calling him jealous. Then her tone shifts. Do you really think I'd kiss Tenjin? She asks, and not that kind of girl. Jirou struggles to respond, and Akari sighs. My first kiss was with you, idiot, she says quietly. And honestly, you were terrible at it. Her words hit Jirou like a ton of bricks. He feels embarrassed but also strangely happy. The next day, Jirou finds himself alone with Shiori in the classroom. As they clean the board together, he can't help but think how lucky he is to have this moment with her. Shiori, meanwhile, remembers her friends encouraging her to confess her feelings. At the same time, Akari's friends are teasing her, saying it's obvious she's interested in Jirou. Akari denies it but secretly wonders why their words bother her so much. While Jirou is trying to make small talk with Shiori, Akari texts him, asking if he wants to go shopping with her. She notices him talking to Shiori and hides nearby, unsure why she's suddenly feeling awkward. Jirou, meanwhile, tries to focus on the conversation, but Shiori surprises him by bumping her eraser into him. She asks him to lean down and close his eyes. For a brief moment, Jirou wonders if she's about to kiss him. His heart races, but it turns out she's just brushing dust off his face. That evening, Akari brings Jirou a cup of hot milk, saying she made too much. She casually asks how things are going with Shiori. Jirou hesitates but says it's fine. Akari doesn't believe him and challenges him to call her by her first name. Jirou chokes on the milk, flustered. Akari pushes further, saying that hearing him call her by her name would make her feel special. Jirou stammers, unsure how to respond. Akari mumbles something about how she feels like she's the only one trying in their relationship. She quietly admits, sometimes, it feels like I'm the only one who's in love here. Her words catch Jirou off guard. He stares at her, realizing what she's just said. Akari quickly backtracks, saying it was just hypothetical. and bolts to her room, her face bright red. Jirou sits there, wondering if she actually meant it. The next day, the school announces an academic test for couples. Failing the test means extra lessons together. Jirou isn't confident in his skills and wonders how Akari will do. He asks her about the test, but she brushes it off, saying she's going to karaoke with some friends. Jirou, concerned, insists she study with him instead. After some convincing, Akari reluctantly agrees. At home, Akari struggles to focus, tapping her pencil in frustration. Jirou encourages her, and when she solves a problem correctly, she lights up. She begins to work harder, thriving on his praise. By the end, Akari feels proud of herself and jokingly calls Jirou sensei. He blushes, and she laughs, teasing him for liking it. As the night goes on, Akari grows quieter, realizing how much she's come to enjoy these moments with Jirou. She wonders if she's ready to let go of their daily life together when graduation comes. The thought fills her with doubt, and she finds herself questioning if parting ways is really the right choice. One morning, Jirou walked into the bathroom and heard Akari calling him by his last name. This felt strange to him because she usually used his first name. Her tone sounded cheerful, which made it even more unusual. She told him she was preparing coffee and reminded him that the midterm results would be released later in the day. A moment later, she handed him a steaming cup of coffee. Noticing his messy hair, she laughed and said she would fix it for him later. While Akari seemed happier than usual, Jirou couldn't ignore how odd it was that she kept addressing him by his last name. Later, Nerd showed up while Jirou was looking something up online. Nerd started talking about a fight he'd had with his wife. He admitted that during the argument, he asked her if it was that time of the month. Jirou couldn't believe how clueless Nerd was and told him he was a perfect example of how to annoy someone. Nerd just laughed and said he should be admired for his bravery. As the day went on, Jirou couldn't stop thinking about Akari's behavior. Why was she calling him by his last name so much? It wasn't like her, and it kept bothering him. While walking outside, he saw a girl confessing her feelings to another girl. It quickly became clear that the rumors about Mei being popular with other girls were true. However, the confession ended in rejection, and Jirou watched the heartbroken girl walk away. Watching this, he thought about how Mei always apologized for situations like this, even though they weren't her fault. But despite this distraction, his thoughts kept returning to Akari and her strange behavior. Later in the evening, Jirou remembered that Akari had once told him she wanted him to call her by her first name. Suddenly, it clicked, maybe her behavior was connected to that. While he was showering, he wondered if he should try saying her name to see her reaction. Before he could act on the idea, Akari burst into the bathroom. Looking excited, she announced that their rankings had improved. They were now in 8th place. She was so happy that she jumped into his arms, hugging him tightly. Jirou couldn't help but smile and share her excitement, though Jirou cucumber starting growing hard as rock. After his shower, Akari helped dry Jirou's hair. She acted like an ideal wife, even commenting on how nice he smelled. But she continued calling him by his last name, which kept Jirou curious. While she was using the blow dryer, Jirou decided to test his theory. He softly said her first name, Akari, but the noise drowned him out. He tried again, louder this time. Akari turned off the blow dryer, knelt down, and asked what he needed. In that moment, Jirou realized his guess was correct. Calling her by her first name made her happy. He said her name again, and Akari blushed, admitting she loved hearing it. She asked him to keep calling her Akari, saying it made her feel special. She explained that while they were still pretending to be married, she wanted to enjoy moments like this. Jirou decided to humor her and kept calling her by her first name, noticing how much it seemed to mean to her. Her flustered reactions made him realize how important these little gestures were to her. Meanwhile, Mei noticed Jirou and Akari's improved ranking. Worried, she approached Shiori and warned her that she might lose Jirou if she didn't act soon. Mei suggested that Jirou and Akari might have already kissed and could be getting even closer. This made Shiori feel uneasy and unsure of what to do. Mei later came up with a plan to give Shiori some alone time with Jirou. Shiori pretended to faint during gym class and was taken to the nurse's office. Mei found Jirou and told him about Shiori's condition, encouraging him to check on her. When Jirou arrived, he saw that Shiori already had a sandwich from Tenjin. Feeling awkward, he offered her another one that Mei had given him. As they talked, Shiori mentioned how well things seemed to be going between Jirou and Akari. Jirou explained that they had stopped arguing recently, which had helped their ranking improve. Shiori sighed and said it must be nice to argue with someone because it shows a deeper connection. She admitted she had never seen Jirou angry and felt like she wasn't as mature as the other girls. The conversation shifted when Shiori confessed she had never had her first kiss and worried she wouldn't be good at it. Jirou reassured her, saying a first kiss was always special and didn't have to be perfect. Shiori reminded Jirou of his promise to help her with anything and asked if he would let her practice kissing with him. Jirou, caught off guard, asked why she wanted to kiss him. Shiori explained that he was the only person she trusted enough to ask. Hesitant but unable to refuse, Jirou leaned in, thinking it might be harmless. But just before their lips touched, Shiori stopped him, saying she didn't want to kiss unless they were married. At that moment, Akari's friend Sachai walked past the nurse's office. Hearing the sound of the bed creaking, she assumed something inappropriate was happening and quickly left. Inside, Jirou accidentally slipped on the bed, and in the process, he ended up kissing Shiori. Both were shocked, and Jirou quickly apologized before leaving the room, feeling embarrassed and unsure of what had just happened. Meanwhile, Akari had sent Jirou several messages, but he hadn't replied. Sachai later told Akari about the suspicious noises she'd heard in the nurse's office, which only made Akari worry more, and Jirou message pops up telling that he was in nurse room. Feeling uneasy, she went to a cafe to clear her mind. There, Tenjin noticed her looking sad and gave her extra whipped cream on her drink. This small gesture made Akari realize how visible her emotions were to others. That night, Akari returned home thinking if Jirou has lost his V-card Shiori. As she entered, she sees Jirou asleep on the couch. She saw the mess he had left and realized he must have been waiting for her all night. As she quietly cleaned up, her earlier sadness faded. She started dropping plot armor. I means every last plot armor. She asked him he dropped the plot of Shiori in nurse office and develop plot with her. She is worried that he's maturing way too fast. She is nervous that he's going to leave her. She asked him to let her be his wife until the marriage end. The next morning, Jirou woke up to find Akari sleeping beside him with her massive cannons. She wakes up and smashes her cannon on him. She greeted him cheerfully, but Jirou immediately noticed she wasn't wearing her usual clothes. Flustered, he asked what had happened. Akari teased him, pretending he had been the one to undress her and did everything that a harem protagonist should do. Jirou panicked, thinking if he had developed plot with her and can't even recall doing it. After a bit of playful teasing, Akari admitted she was joking and said nothing had happened. He get relieved that nothing happened. Akari asks he is disappointed. But this fucking loser is disappointed that he is still a virgin. She scolded him, telling she wouldn't lost her V-card to a ugly loser like him, even in her dreams. She covers his ear and tells him that she can't do it with him since he loves someone else. But he understands what she's saying. Even she hates it doing with some she doesn't love. And again he can't hear her. She tells him she hates his ugly face. The next day, Nerd went up to Jirou and asked him if something had happened between him and Akari. Jirou denied it, saying there was nothing going on, even though he'd been acting differently lately. Nerd wasn't convinced but let it go. Instead, he started talking about some new move in their favorite video game. Suddenly, Nerd mentioned hearing something that sounded like cuddling. Jirou quickly brushed it off, thinking Nerd had gotten the wrong idea and was imagining things again. Later, at school, Shiori had to take out some trash bags. She looked like she was struggling, so Akari's friends, Sachai and Natsumi, went over to offer her some help. As they were helping, they noticed Jirou and Nerd walking nearby. Sachai called out to them, teasingly saying, "Hey, otaku boys, come help us with this." Jirou and Nerd immediately started arguing, each trying to say the other was the real otaku. Sachai laughed and told them they were both otakus, so they might as well get to work. Nerd, smiling confidently, grabbed a trash bag and said he'd handle it. Natsumi praised him, saying she was counting on him. Nerd looked proud, acting like carrying a bag of trash was some huge achievement. Meanwhile, Sachai suggested that Jirou and Shiori carry the biggest bag together while the others handled the smaller ones. Shiori quickly said she could manage the big bag alone, leaving Jirou feeling a little rejected. Ouch, that stung, he thought to himself. As he glanced at Shiori, he noticed she was blushing, which confused him even more. Later in the afternoon, Akari went to get ice cream with Sachai and Natsumi. The two friends decided it was time to ask her some serious questions. Sachai started, asking, "So, what do you think about Jirou? Do you like him?" Akari froze, her face turning red, and tried to dodge the question, but it was clear she wasn't denying anything. Natsumi jumped in next, asking, "And what about Tenjin? Do you still have feelings for him?" Akari hesitated, finally saying that she thought Tenjin and Shiori seemed happy together, so she didn't want to get in their way. Sachai and Natsumi reminded Akari that her marriage to Jirou was just for the school practical exam and wasn't real. They warned her to think carefully and not let her emotions take over. Jirou is nice, but he'd probably act the same way if he were paired with another girl, Natsumi added. Akari didn't say much, but it was clear she was thinking about what they said. After she left, Sachai and Natsumi talked about how they thought Akari might have feelings for Jirou. They also noticed that Shiori might have feelings for him too. Sachai said she just wanted Akari to be happy but didn't want her to get hurt. As they walked, they noticed people setting up for a fireworks festival nearby and thought it might be a good opportunity to help Akari. At home, Akari was trying to put on her yukata but was having trouble. She called Jirou for help, complaining that it was too loose. Jirou stepped in and started tightening it for her. As he worked, Akari teased him, saying, "Wow, you're so nervous. What a total virgin." She laughed and then mentioned that Tenjin would be at the festival, so she needed to look her best. Jirou tried to brush it off, saying it wasn't like she and Tenjin would spend the whole evening together. But Akari ignored him. She said girls always needed to be prepared and couldn't let their guard down. Jirou thought about how Akari was always so relaxed around him. He realized how easy it would be for him to undo her yukata, and the thought made him even more nervous. After fixing the yukata, Akari asked Jirou to help her choose a bow for her outfit. Jirou picked one, but Akari said it looked too childish and picked another one that she thought Tenjin would like. Jirou sighed and asked why he was even helping her. Akari smirked and teased him, saying, "You're jealous, aren't you?" She then told him to stay home and watch the fireworks alone on the balcony while she had fun with Tenjin. Jirou sighed again but couldn't help feeling a little bothered by her words. Later that evening, Akari and her friends arrived at the festival. Sachai and Natsumi had planned everything to give Akari some alone time with Tenjin. They told her not to worry and to make the most of it. Akari was grateful for their effort but couldn't help thinking about how Jirou had helped her earlier. She wondered if Tenjin would think she looked pretty, but deep down, she felt unsure about her feelings. Could she really go back to focusing only on Tenjin after everything with Jirou? When the boys arrived, Akari noticed Tenjin wasn't with them. His friends apologized, explaining that he had stayed behind to help at his job because they were short-staffed. Akari felt disappointed but also strangely relieved. She realized she wasn't as upset as she thought she would be. Maybe her feelings were starting to change, but she didn't know what to do about it. As Akari wandered the festival, she overheard some people talking and then spotted Tenjin walking with Shiori. They looked happy together, and Akari's heart sank. She assumed Tenjin had lied about working so he could spend time alone with Shiori. Feeling hurt, she decided to leave the festival and go home. In reality, Tenjin was only walking Shiori because it was on the way to the supermarket, and he planned to return to work right after. But Akari didn't know this and felt like her chances with Tenjin were completely gone. Back at the festival, Jirou was thinking about what Akari had said earlier. He wondered if she really wanted something romantic with Tenjin. He thought about all the little moments he had shared with Akari, helping her, holding her hand, and the times they almost kissed. He couldn't help but feel uneasy about how things might change when their pairings switched. Would they just go back to being classmates? Suddenly, Jirou got a phone call from Akari. She was crying on the other end, apologizing for something. Jirou asked where she was and told her he'd come to her right away, but Akari hung up before he could get an answer. Worried, Jirou called her again but then stopped when he heard a phone ringing nearby. He opened the door and found Akari standing there, her face red and tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," Akari said, her voice shaking. She told Jirou that everyone had tried so hard to help her, but she still messed everything up. "I failed," she said softly, tears falling again. Jirou gently wiped her tears and said, "Welcome home, Akari." She broke down crying even harder, and he hugged her tightly. They went out onto the balcony and watched the fireworks together. Akari said she was glad she'd worn the yukata, even if nothing went as planned. Jirou told her she looked beautiful. She teased him about the bow he'd picked earlier, saying he must have been jealous. Jirou denied it but hesitated, which surprised her. She took his hand and asked him to say her name. When he did, she smiled and told him to keep saying it because it made her feel better. As the fireworks lit up the sky, Akari thanked Jirou for not asking what had happened at the festival. Jirou thought to himself that he didn't ask because he didn't want to know. Knowing she came back to him made him feel relieved. He realized their time as a pretend couple wouldn't last forever. This fireworks festival might be the first, and the last, moment like this they'd ever share. In the game, Jirou faces a huge decision. He has to choose which princess to stay with. The stakes are high because if he picks the wrong one, the entire kingdom could collapse. The pressure frustrates him, making him question everything. Meanwhile, Akari is lying down, staring at their rankings and complaining about how bad her luck is. She seems hopeless. Jirou asks if she's really sure about the results and offers to check them himself. She allows it, and when Jirou checks, he sees they're in 13th place, just 3 spots away from their goal. Even though things seem grim, Akari smiles and tells him she's counting on him to pull them through. She even teases him by calling him darling, which throws him off for a moment. Later, while sitting in the shower, Jirou reflects on the day's events. He keeps thinking about how Akari cried earlier, yet insisted on switching partners. Her strong emotions and determination confuse him. His thoughts are interrupted when Akari suddenly runs into the bathroom, shouting that something terrible has happened. Jirou, caught off guard and still undressed, yells at her to leave, but she ignores him. She says there's a creep in the house. When Jirou asks for more details, she reveals that the creep is just a spider. Annoyed, Jirou scolds her for barging in over something so small. Akari rolls her eyes and tells him that no one cares about his body anyway, demanding that he deal with the spider. Jirou sighs and asks where it is, but Akari says it disappeared. When he asks how big it was, she shows him with her fingers, and it's tiny. Jirou feels even more irritated, thinking Akari overreacted. But at the same time, he can't help but find her dramatic behavior oddly cute. After things settle down, they eat together. During dinner, Akari lightens the mood by joking with Jirou. She teases him about little things, like sharing spoons and indirect kisses. She keeps the conversation playful, making Jirou laugh despite himself. Out of nowhere, Akari asks Jirou what he thinks would have happened if they had met in a completely different situation. Jirou thinks for a moment and honestly replies that they probably wouldn't have interacted. Akari agrees but adds that she might have wanted to meet a version of Jirou who wasn't her husband. This surprises him. Then, she suddenly blurts out, "We should date," before quickly laughing and saying she's just joking. Jirou realizes that for a split second, he thought she was serious and wonders how he would have responded if she hadn't been joking. Their lighthearted moment is interrupted when Akari spots the spider again. This time, she completely panics and grabs onto Jirou for protection. She refuses to let go, forcing Jirou to deal with the spider once and for all. What follows is a chaotic battle between Jirou and the tiny spider, but in the end, Jirou manages to get rid of it. Akari finally calms down, and they both decide to call it a day. The next morning, Jirou meets up with Nerd, who hands him a flyer for a summer job. Jirou is confused because he doesn't remember signing up for anything. Nerd reveals that he registered Jirou for the job without asking him first. Annoyed but curious, Jirou looks at the flyer. As they talk, Shiori shows up and notices the flyer in Jirou's hand. She excitedly tells him that she and her friend also signed up for the same job. Nerd, always teasing, points out that this could be a great opportunity for Jirou to get closer to Shiori. While Jirou tries to stay focused, his mind begins to wander as he imagines how the summer might play out. When Jirou gets home, Akari isn't there yet, leaving him to wonder where she went. A little later, she arrives, wearing a bold and revealing swimsuit. She immediately asks Jirou what he thinks of it. Caught off guard, Jirou turns red and stammers that it might be too much. Akari, noticing his reaction, teases him for staring and calls him a pervert. She adds that she bought another swimsuit in case this one is too risky. Jirou tries to look away, but Akari continues to playfully tease him, clearly enjoying his awkwardness. Akari then mentions that she got a part-time job at a cafe. Jirou uses this as an opportunity to tell her about the summer job Nerd signed him up for. He also mentions that Shiori will be working there, too. Akari raises an eyebrow and teases him again, suggesting that he's going to miss her while they're apart. She jokingly demands that he admit it, but before Jirou can respond, she suddenly becomes serious and quietly admits that she's already feeling lonely. Seeing her like this, Jirou hugs her tightly, hoping to cheer her up. Akari leans into the hug, smiling softly, and jokes that she's recharging her battery with his help. Before they end their conversation, Akari mentions that she wants to go to the beach with Jirou someday. She adds that the swimsuit she's wearing will be just for him, making Jirou blush even more. As he tries to process everything, Jirou notices that Akari is holding a flyer identical to his. Realizing that they will both be working at the same summer job, Jirou begins to wonder how their time together will play out. The group decides to hit the beach together, but Nerd, being his usual dramatic self, complains that the sun is way too bright for someone like him, who prefers the shadows. Tenjin, always the energetic leader, takes them on a little tour of the area. Akari can't stop thinking about how awesome Tenjin is, while Shiori is off in her own world. sneaking shy glances at Jirou. Soon, Akari and her friends change into their swimsuits. Shiori tells her friend she looks super cute in hers, and everyone seems excited for the day ahead. Meanwhile, Nerd's brother, who owns the shop they're helping at, calls everyone together to explain their jobs. Nerd, of course, isn't paying much attention. He's too busy imagining this as the perfect opportunity to meet some gorgeous girls. While he's lost in his daydream, Shiori walks up to Jirou and casually asks if he's going to be working in the kitchen. Jirou confirms he will, and she immediately says she might work there too, even asking if they could partner up. Jirou seems caught off guard but agrees. At another spot, Akari is fumbling with a calculator and Tenjin steps in to help her. As he leans in to explain, Akari's face turns bright red. She's absolutely loving this moment, even though she's a nervous wreck inside. However, there's this random kid staring at them non-stop. Akari's friends try to distract him, but he's completely zoned out. They tease him, saying Akari would probably like the food he's spacing out over, and he finally snaps out of it. The teasing doesn't stop, though. They start hinting that it's obvious he has a crush on Akari, even though she seems into Tenjin. He tries to deny it and even confidently says Tenjin wouldn't go for her, but they pressure him to explain why he thinks that. Meanwhile, Shiori and Mei are in the kitchen together. Shiori says she's happy to work alongside Mei, but Mei teases her, saying it's obvious Shiori would rather be working with Jirou. She even points to Jirou and jokes, "Look at him. That guy is totally useless, he's trouble." Shiori tries to brush it off, but it's clear she's thinking about Jirou. Later, Shiori asks Jirou for help in the kitchen. She's showing him how to put cream on something and tells him to go slowly and carefully. Things get awkward when the cream suddenly splatters everywhere, getting all over Shiori's face. Embarrassed, she asks Jirou to wipe it off, and as he cleans her face, she starts to notice how warm his hands are. She remembers Mei's words about not wasting this summer and suddenly tells Jirou to really look at her. Their moment is interrupted when they realize the rest of the group has been spying on them from the doorway. Shiori apologizes, but Jirou insists it's his fault. He starts thinking about a past summer, when he couldn't confess his feelings to Shiori before she moved away, vowing not to let history repeat itself. The nerdy guy in the group interrupts, asking if Jirou brought his swimsuit. Things take a fun turn as everyone starts getting ready for the beach. Akari and her friends show up in their swimsuits, and Nerd, as usual, makes it dramatic. He feels like his vision has been restored. He also notices Akari's swimsuit is more modest than usual since she typically wears something more revealing. Jirou remembers Akari once mentioning that this swimsuit was picked just for him and can't believe it might actually be true. Shiori and her friend ask the guys if they're heading into the water, but Jirou and the nerd decline, saying they're too busy. Mei, however, doesn't buy it and teases them, saying they just want to secretly check out the girls. Jirou feels awkward and tries to deny it, thinking to himself that it's not gross. It's like a sacred honor to admire girls in swimsuits. Nearby, Akari starts noticing Shiori and Jirou spending time together and feels a bit jealous. To distract herself, she joins the group in a game of rock, paper, scissors to decide who will go shopping. She and Jirou end up paired together. At the store, they notice a small discount for couples, and Akari suggests they use it. Jirou blushes and awkwardly says they're not a couple, but Akari quickly replies, "We're married, remember." The cashier even calls Jirou a lucky boyfriend, and Akari looks pretty pleased with herself. Later, Akari teases Jirou for his awkward reaction, saying he should have played along more confidently. Back at the beach, some random guys approach Akari and try to act cool around her. One even puts his arm around her, which makes Jirou step in and claim, "She's my wife." The guys back off immediately, wishing them a happy life together. After they leave, Jirou apologizes to Akari, saying she probably hated him calling her his wife. But Akari surprises him by saying she didn't hate it at all. She even tells him he needs to be more confident and use her as practice, if he wants to learn how to act like a real boyfriend. Later, the girls are in the sauna, chatting about relationships. Akari gets teased about her marriage to Jirou and admits that, while she used to find him super annoying and messy, her feelings might be changing. Shiori, feeling a bit left out, listens quietly but eventually laughs along with the group. Afterward, Akari sees Jirou looking sunburned and offers to put some cream on his back. Jirou, feeling shy, worries that it'll look weird if someone sees them, but Akari doesn't care. She starts rubbing cream on his back, and when she tickles him as a joke, Jirou panics and tries to escape. Akari clings to him, laughing, until they're interrupted by someone showing up. Jirou bolts out of there faster than ever. As the day winds down, Jirou is juggling errands while Akari glares at him for calling her by her last name. Jirou sees her message to meet her near the beach and gives a chilling stare. That evening, Shiori realizes that both Akari and Jirou are nowhere to be found. She becomes curious, but before she can decide what to do, Mei offers to go on a walk with her, sensing that Shiori might need a distraction. Meanwhile, Jirou is with Akari, who is visibly upset. Jirou, as usual, starts apologizing, even though he doesn't understand what's bothering her. Akari interrupts him, frustrated that he keeps saying sorry without addressing the problem. To his surprise, she begins unbuttoning her top, revealing a swimsuit underneath. Akari explains how excited she was about this beach trip and spending time with him, but instead of enjoying it together, he has been distant. She feels hurt by his constant worry about how others perceive them. Jirou, unsure of how to respond, awkwardly admits that he doesn't want her to feel embarrassed by being around someone as dull as him. He adds that people might think strange things if they're seen together. Akari doesn't hold back her feelings. She grabs his arm, pulling him closer, and asks why he always says such discouraging things. She tells him she wants him to stop caring about what others think and start paying more attention to her, just as he does when they're alone at home. To make her point, she leans in, forcing him to focus on her presence. Jirou, overwhelmed and unsure of how to react, stumbles over his words. He suggests they take a step back, but Akari insists that she hates how he acts like they aren't married when they're around other people. She demands that he stop calling her by her last name and start using her first name. Realizing how serious she is, Jirou finally agrees to call her by her first name. Akari softens but grumbles that he should have said that earlier. However, before they can continue their conversation, they hear Shiori nearby, remarking on how beautiful the moon is. Akari and Jirou panic and quickly leave, not wanting anyone to find them together. Afterward, Akari feels conflicted. She reflects on how much effort it took to wear the swimsuit, only to feel invisible to Jirou. Even when they're close, she feels like she doesn't occupy a meaningful place in his heart. Jirou tries to comfort her, telling her the warm evening is perfect for relaxing, but his words only frustrate her more. She asks him directly, "Even if I wait, will anything actually change? Will you finally notice me?" Elsewhere, Mei and Shiori, who had set out on their walk, hear strange noises in the distance. Mei tries to investigate, acting brave, but quickly backs off when the sounds get louder. Unbeknownst to them, Akari is responsible for the noise, deliberately banging on nearby wood to scare them off. Once Mei and Shiori retreat, Akari turns to Jirou and accuses him of staring at her chest during their earlier argument. Jirou, caught off guard, reminds her that she told him to look. Akari, embarrassed, dismisses her earlier words as something said in the heat of the moment and tells him to forget about it. Jirou takes her response seriously, asking how he's supposed to improve himself if her words are always fleeting. Akari pauses, finally admitting that she hates feeling this vulnerable. Before Jirou can respond, he trips and falls toward her. Akari, startled, notices his heavy breathing and assumes something is wrong. When she asks if he's okay, Jirou awkwardly tells her it's not his knee pressing against her. Akari, now bright red, quickly backs away, stammering that there's an order to these things. Moments later, Jirou collapses, fainting from heat exhaustion. When Jirou regains consciousness, he finds himself lying in a cool room with Akari sitting nearby. She explains that the doctor said he suffered from heat stroke. Before he can apologize again, Akari cuts him off, reminding him that apologies won't fix anything. She tells him that instead of feeling sorry, she wants him to start seeing her differently. She admits that, despite being married for 4 months, she feels like they barely know each other. She wants to understand him better and hopes he'll do the same for her. Jirou agrees, feeling a strange sense of clarity after hearing her words. The next morning, Jirou walks into the bathroom and sees Akari brushing her hair. She smirks and teases him, asking if he's still thinking about the previous night. Jirou tries to play it cool but ends up choking on his toothpaste. Akari laughs, tossing him a towel, and says, "Don't worry, it's just between us, husband and wife." Jirou feels relieved that she can joke about it, though he's still flustered. Later that day, Jirou learns about a test of courage event where participants will be paired up to explore the woods at night. Shiori overhears and immediately clings to Jirou, saying she's been uneasy since hearing strange noises the night before. Jirou reassures her, promising to protect her if they're paired together. Shiori smiles, touched by his kindness, but quickly excuses herself after realizing how vulnerable she sounded. Nerd, noticing the pairings, approaches Jirou with an offer. He boasts about his ability to rig the lottery for the event, offering to pair Jirou with Shiori in exchange for a favor. However, Jirou surprises him by asking for Akari to be paired with Tenjin instead. Jirou believes Akari deserves the chance to spend time with someone she admires, even if it leaves him feeling conflicted. Nerd reluctantly agrees to the request. During the event, Jirou ends up paired with Shiori, while Akari is with Tenjin. As they venture into the woods, Akari becomes nervous and Tenjin offers to hold her hand. She accepts, finding some comfort in his gesture. However, as they continue walking, Akari can't help but think about how holding Jirou's hand used to feel more natural. She pushes the thought away, frustrated by her own feelings. All distracted, Akari realizes she's dropped her phone and becomes separated from Tenjin while searching for it. The rain begins to pour and Akari quickly grows overwhelmed. She reflects on how much she relies on others, feeling helpless without Jirou or Tenjin to guide her. Suddenly, Tenjin appears, reassuring her that everything is fine. He jokes about her feelings for Jirou, but Akari denies it, unsure of her own emotions. Elsewhere, Jirou is frantically searching for Akari despite Shiori telling him to stay put. Shiori eventually catches up with him, bringing an umbrella, and informs him that Tenjin has already found Akari. Relieved but emotionally drained, Jirou sits under a tree with Shiori. Shiori admits she's jealous of Akari for seeing a side of Jirou she doesn't know. Jirou explains that his marriage with Akari isn't real and insists that nothing has changed between them. Shiori, emboldened by the moment, confesses that Jirou was her first kiss. Embarrassed, she apologizes, but as she turns to leave, she pauses. Looking back at Jirou, she says softly, "Being childhood friends won't be enough to keep us together forever." Before Jirou can respond, Shiori leans in and kisses him. Akari is talking with Tenjin, asking him what he meant earlier about feeling sad. He explains that it's like how an older brother might feel when his little sister starts dating someone. Akari pauses, realizing this is his way of turning her down. She hesitates but asks if marrying him during the practice marriage program would have made him stop seeing her as a little sister. Deep down, she wonders why she's even trying so hard. Tenjin, sensing her feelings, apologizes and admits he realized a long time ago that she liked him. He tells her that knowing she cared for him made him happy, but he's in love with someone else. Akari asks if the person he loves is Shiori. Laughing, Tenjin says she's completely wrong. He explains it's someone Akari doesn't know and that it's an unrequited love, one that will never be returned. He says it's painful for him, and realizing how much he hurt Akari made him feel terrible. That's why he felt relieved when he learned about Jirou. Akari tells Tenjin that Jirou doesn't love her, but Tenjin encourages her, saying she could win Jirou's heart if she tries hard enough. He wishes her happiness this time and apologizes for causing her pain. Standing up, Akari raises her voice and tells him he's wrong. She admits that even though she's hurt, being around him made her heart race, and she's grateful for all the memories they shared. She thanks him for everything because she truly liked him. Tenjin thanks her in return and hopes she finds her happiness with Jirou, knowing she will give it her all. That night, Akari lays her head on Tenjin's shoulder while waiting for the rain to stop. Tenjin reflects on their conversation, wondering why she thought he liked Shiori. He knows Shiori is also in love, and he silently hopes for the best for both Akari and Shiori. The next day, Akari visits the altar again. This time, instead of tossing a 500 yen coin, she throws a 1,000 yen bill. She apologizes to the spirits, saying her feelings have changed since her last visit. She knows her chances are slim, but she prays for help. She recalls seeing Shiori and Jirou together, both blushing, and resolves to do her best to win his heart. Meanwhile, Shiori is folding clothes at home, distracted by thoughts of her kiss with Jirou. The memory keeps popping into her mind, making her blush. She's confused about why she kissed him and feels relieved that summer break started right after it happened. She remembers asking Jirou if she was his first kiss but assumes he must have kissed Akari before her. This makes her feel like she crossed a line and wonders if Jirou felt anything for her during the kiss. Jirou, on the other hand, is playing a video game. A character on the screen suddenly kisses another, and it reminds him of kissing Shiori. He wonders if she hated it. That moment felt like a spark of his first love, one he had almost given up on. But then Shiori apologized repeatedly and told him to move on. Jirou is left confused about her feelings and his own. Feeling restless, Jirou decides to step out to buy cola and snacks. At the manga store, he spots Shiori reaching for the same book he wanted. Both are startled to see each other. Jirou asks if she reads manga, and Shiori awkwardly explains that her brother asked her to pick up the book. She notices it's the last copy and offers it to Jirou, but he insists she take it instead. Shiori thanks him, saying he's kind, and Jirou feels glad they could talk after everything that happened. As they leave the store, rain begins to fall. Shiori notices Jirou doesn't have an umbrella and invites him to her house since her parents aren't home. Jirou hesitates but agrees, thanking her for the offer. When they arrive, Shiori quickly tidies up while Jirou waits outside, wondering if this is really happening. Once inside, Jirou comments that her furniture is similar to his, making him feel oddly at home. Shiori nervously asks if she can sit next to him, blushing as she does so. Jirou notices how good her coffee smells and casually compliments it, not realizing he's talking about the coffee until Shiori thanks him. They sit and read manga together, but Jirou is too distracted by her presence to focus on the pages. Shiori catches Jirou staring at her and asks if something is wrong. Embarrassed, Jirou says he was just wondering what she was reading. Shiori smiles and says it's a good book and that she'll lend it to him sometime. She excuses herself and goes to her room, where she stares into the mirror, wondering if inviting him over was too much. She worries he might dislike her now. At the same time, Jirou reflects on how careful he has to be. He realizes that for Shiori to invite him over, she must really like him. He decides he wants to talk to her about his feelings. Before he can say anything, Shiori rushes out and tells him to look outside. A double rainbow has appeared, and they both admire it together. Shiori asks to take a selfie with Jirou, and they take a picture. She shows him the photo and says she loves how it turned out. Jirou considers confessing but stops himself when he sees Akari in his thoughts. Shiori notices and asks if he wanted to say something, but Jirou brushes it off, saying he forgot. They stand together, watching the rainbow in silence. Later, at home, Jirou reflects on why he didn't say anything to Shiori earlier. His thoughts are interrupted by a series of messages. At first, he thinks it's Nerd, but it turns out to be Akari. She complains about being bored, and Jirou replies that he feels the same. Akari immediately regrets sending the message, wondering why she feels so nervous about talking to Jirou. She tells him to meet her at the train station in 2 hours. Jirou wonders if this is some kind of prank but decides to go anyway, showing up 10 minutes early and waiting for her, even when she arrives 15 minutes late. As Jirou is about to leave, Akari comes running up to him, out of breath and apologizing for being late. She explains that it took her longer than usual to get ready. With a playful smile, she tells him that since she had called this a date, she put extra effort into how she looked. "There's no way I'd stand you up," she says confidently. She asks him if she looks cute, and Jirou struggles to find the right words. Awkwardly, he tells her that it's not her usual style, but admits that she looks very nice. Akari beams and thanks him, adding that this outfit is only for him because she knows it's his type. Jirou wonders why she's going so far to match his preferences. Before he can think too much, Akari grabs his hand and starts running, saying she has lots of places planned for them today. Their first stop is a shop, where she browses through items and asks for his opinion on what to buy. Jirou feels overwhelmed, not sure how to respond. He wonders why Akari is spending so much time with him and acting so energetic. She then takes him to a cafe and asks if he remembers it. Jirou hesitates but recalls seeing it on TV as one of her favorites. Surprised that he remembered, Akari smiles and orders them drinks. Akari encourages Jirou to try his chocolate drink, asking if it's bitter. He nods, saying it's a little bitter, and she leans over to sip from his straw. "Wow, your black cream is so bitter," she jokes, laughing as she teases him. Jirou silently wonders if Akari has always been this playful and carefree. Later, they visit a cat cafe, and Akari's face lights up as she sees the cats. She calls them cute and starts playing with them. Jirou watches her, thinking about how much she's smiling. It's so different from how he first knew her. Seeing her like this makes him realize how far they've come. Akari laughs as she pets the cats, and Jirou comments that she's been adorable since they arrived. She jokes, saying, "They're cute, but I think I'm cuter, don't you?" Jirou awkwardly nods, unsure how to respond. Akari suggests they take a photo together with one of the cats. She sends him the picture afterward, and Jirou stares at it for a moment. To him, it feels strangely like a family photo. Without thinking, he blurts out, "The cat looks like it could be our baby." Realizing what he just said, his face turns red. Akari bursts out laughing, finding his reaction hilarious. She then says it would be nice if they could keep the cat as a pet during their marriage practical. As the day winds down, they head toward the train station. While walking up the stairs, Akari comments on how odd it feels that they'll soon be going to different places. She mentions that it'll be lonely without him around and suddenly remembers she forgot to buy a charm from the shrine. Without warning, she dashes toward the street. Jirou calls out to her, telling her to wait up, and starts running after her. On their way, they run into Shiori. Akari stops and waves, telling her she thought Jirou would be stuck inside playing games, so she decided to drag him out for some sunlight. Shiori smiles and asks if they're heading home, but Akari explains she wanted to visit the shrine first. She reminds Shiori about how they first met there and suggests they go together. Akari gets competitive and challenges Shiori to a race to the shrine. leaving Jirou to carry all their belongings. The two girls take off, racing each other as Jirou trails behind, struggling with all the bags. By the time they reach the shrine, they're out of breath but laughing. An old lady at the shrine sees them and asks if they're okay, saying they looked like they were in a serious competition. The girls laugh it off and explain they were just racing for fun. The old lady turns to Jirou and asks if he felt the same way. Jirou, exhausted from lugging their things, admits that it was intense. Hearing his name, Akari and Shiori exchange a look and giggle, realizing they had worked Jirou harder than they'd intended. As the day ends, Jirou feels like he's done the workout of his life, but seeing both Akari and Shiori happy makes it worth it. And that's where this video ends. Watch this next video.
Take you